Today on Getting Real with the Housewives, Bethenny Frankel and Zarin reunite and we break down all the drama. Plus, Erika, Jayne, and Garcelle weigh in on Kyle's divorce as she celebrates 1 year sober. And Kim Zolciak details Kroy's erratic behavior to police. Plus, Roni's Erin breaks down Cheese Plate Gate. We've got that plus so much more on today's Getting Real with the Housewives. Hey guys, Girardi here with Us Weekly executive producer Mandy DeCamp, and welcome to the premiere week of Roni. And I have to say, I'm a fan.
It is refreshing. I said it like a week ago that I think this might become a trend where they do the new era for like every city. And to be honest, I hope they do because I love it.
I love it. I thought it was, like you said, fresh. These women are interesting, have great jobs. They seem like they're an actual group of friends. So, and I love it. And I love the cheese plate drama. So,
and the apartments, like, this is no longer Leah living in, no offense to her apartment, which was also gorgeous and probably bigger than any apartment I ever lived in around New York City. But these apartments are insane.
They are insane. They found a great group of girls, and all of the doubters, including myself, can be rest assured that this is going to be really good. But before we get into the full recap, let's see what you guys had to say about last week's show. One user says, I knew all cast of Real Housewives of New Jersey would be back, but I think after this year, they will get rid of most of the cast and even Teresa, and they will probably get a new younger cast and keep Rachel and Danielle. Maybe. I mean, like you said, this could be a new trend. And, if you find the right group of people, then, maybe out with the old, in with the new.
Maybe so. I kind of hope so.
Yeah.
Joanne said, I feel it's going to be uncomfortable to watch with Teresa and Melissa. Also, Marge is lawyering up to keep away from Louis. So how's that going to work out? She doesn't belong on the show anymore. I hope there's no more severe fighting next season. I can't stand watching when they all go crazy.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know if it's confirmed that Marge has lawyered up, but I wouldn't be surprised since, all the Bo Dietl investigations. So we'll have, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting season, but I kind of agree. Maybe this is the end of Teresa and Melissa. We'll kind of wrap this up and maybe see what happens in the future for Jersey. But this was a trip down memory lane. Let's get into the news, because I don't think a lot of fans saw this one coming, because after more than a decade, Bethenny Frankel, Zarin sat down, talked for almost an hour and a half on her podcast. And there was a lot going on here. So Bethenny's boyfriend was the one that encouraged her to, reach out to Jill, kind of sit down and talk about it. And there were some really big takeaways. So let's break it down. So the twosomes feud began because Bethenny felt Jill was jealous of her success after she built Skinny Girl into the major brand. Jill said she didn't really envy her at all. She just wanted to be included on the ride. And Jill also called out Bethenny for saying a producer invited her on Roni when Jill was actually the one to be instrumental in getting her on the show. She said, you were on the Today Show. I'll never forget it. And they interviewed you, and maybe you were mad at me at the time. And they said, well, how did you get on the show? And you said, well, a producer found me. And that was like a dagger to me. Jill claimed that it was not true, that Andy Cohen advised her to make up with Bethenny. Jill said, anyway, the point is that I definitely made mistakes, and I wanted to be there for you when you got pregnant and all that stuff, and you just wouldn't let me in. Why didn't you want to let me back in? In her response, Bethenny was like, well, I couldn't do anything without you saying, like, without it becoming a plot point. And then this was really interesting. So as we know, Jill's husband, Bobby, died in 2018. Bethenny went to the funeral, and a film crew was in tow. Well, apparently Jill didn't know that cameras were going to follow Bethenny, saying, what you're saying is I effing ambushed a funeral for reality television. This is what Bethenny said. That's disgusting. That's literally the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. I don't know that I would have gone to the funeral if it weren't shooting. I don't know what I was going to do, only because it was a spectacle and it would have been a thing. But once it got going, I knew that it would be so compelling and an amazing, interesting moment. It was totally real when I saw you. That there's so much to break down from this this podcast. A lot of history. And it seems like they ended, they really did hash it out. They weren't holding back. There was a lot of information in there. Jill said, why she didn't go on Legacy and why she didn't want to be on the Ultimate Girls Trip. It did come down to like a money type of thing, but didn't see this one coming.
Didn't either. It's a good listen. If you haven't heard it, definitely head on over there and listen to it. If you're an OG Real Housewives fan, it was unloading a lot. It took me down memory lane for sure.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think about them not telling Jill that Bethenny was mic'd up for all of that? That's kind of
strange.
That's strange. And Jill didn't seem mad at Bravo because they've done, great things for her in the past, but that's super shady.
That's weird. I think there's a few things you really can't mess with, and one of them is someone's husband's funeral. Some things are off limits, and that's one of them.
Definitely.
All right, well, Erika Jayne is back in the news because she recently met with several people who accused her estranged husband, Tom Girardi, of defrauding them. The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills stars spoke with Tom's alleged victims at Paul's ice cream event in Los Angeles on Sunday. According to a report from Page 6, Erika told the outlet, "I came here with an open heart to listen to what's going on, hear what happened, and figure out how to be a part of how to move forward together in a way that's beneficial for all victims." So very interesting. Erika spoke to the victims. I mean, I'm thinking this is a good step for her.
I'm thinking it's a good step. Probably a lot of people are like, what took you so long? And you don't know, maybe because of all the legal issues, maybe she couldn't reach out, not defending her, but that could be why. But I wonder if cameras, they stopped filming. So I guess this is just her, reaching out and trying to make good. And, finally, it took a long time because a lot of people, they talked on the show, like, why don't you show any compassion for these people? And she was like, well, I really couldn't because of legal situations, but now it seems like she's doing her part. So good thing.
I'm very happy it seems to have been off camera.
Yes,
and
me too. Totally. All right. Well, Kyle Richards is celebrating a special milestone in her sobriety journey. She marked 1 year alcohol free. She wrote on Instagram, "A number of things made me come to the conclusion that I didn't want to drink. First and foremost, I didn't feel it had a place where I personally wanted to be. I listened to my heart and the message was clear. I knew it was no longer serving me, no pun intended, physically, mentally, or spiritually." She added, "I never put a time frame on when I would drink again or say if I ever would. All I know is I have never felt better physically or been more clear mentally. I've learned that I still overshare, but at least I don't have the anxiety thinking about it." She's also said, "I've learned I still do two stupid things sometimes and beat myself up about it. I've learned I'm still fun. And last but not least, I've learned it was much easier than I thought it would be. I was definitely met with some resistance, but I've never been one to fall prey to peer pressure, no matter my age." She acknowledged that she never had a problem with alcohol, but it seems like this really kickstarted her health journey, and good for her.
Yeah. I mean, she seems to be better than ever, other than the whole Mauricio news. It looks like she seems better than ever.
Yeah, she looks great, but maybe this gave her clarity and, in this new phase of her life, and she seems happier than ever and she looks better than ever. So good for her.
Yeah. Alcohol is such a huge part of these shows. And so many ways it's interesting to see a lot of housewives go sober after seeing themselves on camera. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I would say it probably does. Be interesting also to do an ultimate girls trip with all housewives who have gone sober.
Yes.
Would there be drama?
Would there be drama? What would we talk about? But yes, it is true. I guess when you're watching yourself on camera, drinking and the choices that you make when doing it, I'm sure it puts a magnifying glass on it. And a lot of people decide maybe, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. Well, Kyle's co-stars are weighing in on her split from Mauricio. Erika Jayne told Billboard, "I'm going to let Kyle really explain, but they're not splitting. They have had a very hard time. They've acknowledged that. And I think it's best that she, throughout this season, tells her own story." So that gives a little glimpse that maybe we will be getting a good amount of the story on the next season. As for Garcelle, she told Andy Cohen on Watch What Happens Live, Sutton and I were suspicious. I sent her a text asking if she's okay, and she said, "I'm hanging in there."
So I guess this will be a really big plot point next season. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm excited. I mean, unfortunate for them, but it's interesting that she said that they're not splitting. So maybe they are trying to work through it. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
So moving on to Kim and Kroy, the drama continues, even though they're back together, but some nuggets of information just keep coming out. So Kim thought or may think that Kroy has CTE. So during a phone call with police officers, it was obtained by Us Weekly. She said that Kroy locked her out of their shared home while she was attempting to get her medication back in May. She said, "He's diabolical. He just wants to create havoc. I mean, you would think I cheated on the guy, the way he effing behaves. It's super strange, erratic behavior, and I never know who I'm going to get." So according to the Mayo Clinic, CTE is a brain disorder likely caused by repeated head injuries and is common among football players. As we know, Kroy is an ex-football player. She told the police that Kroy kicked in the door and let the alarm go off. She contemplated moving out, getting a restraining order in this situation, but she was able to get in contact with Kroy and told Kim that her husband left her medication in the hallway so she could retrieve it. So she didn't flat out say that he has CTE, but she said that he needs to be held accountable for his shenanigans. Kim said on the call, it is the same exact symptoms, the same exact rage, the aggressions. You can't calm Kroy down. Like, he literally goes from like crying, head into his hands in the closet on the floor. I mean, you can't keep up with this drama anymore. It's just getting a little out of control.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, now, she's not a doctor and she's accusing him of having this CTE. I mean, it's just messy. Right. Get them back on the show is all I gotta say.
Seriously, get them back on the show. Fire it up. Here we go. All right. Well, as we said, the new season of RHONY kicked off and it got everyone buzzing. We're so excited about it. And there's some new drama, Cheesegate. So we spoke to Erin recently, and here's what she had to say about that and what it's really like to be in Jenna Lyons' closet. Take a look. Did you think Cheesegate was going to turn into such a thing?
Honestly, shocking. Like, all I did was serve a cheese platter. Sue me.
I'm sure it was a great cheese platter.
Who doesn't serve cheese platters? Like, I mean, you saw the first 3 episodes, so you'll know. Mm-hmm. Like, anything that you do with this group is like, this wasn't done right, and that was like, so then do it yourself. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Right. Were you surprised at how critical they were when they came out to your home out east? I mean, about the caviar, about the food, about everything. Were you surprised that this would make a group of women so critical?
I wasn't surprised, but it was irritating because, like, can we just for 1 minute just enjoy ourselves without making a comment? You know, like, do comments need to continue the entire trip that we're here? And it was constant. It just didn't stop.
Does Brynn stir up a lot of drama this season? Who would you say stirs up the most drama?
People love to say it's me, but that's just because I'm very, very straightforward. And I like don't hold back at all. I say exactly what I think at all times, but definitely she stirs up a lot of drama.
What is the shoe closet really like? What is Jenna's shoe closet really like?
It's massive. It's like a studio apartment. It's huge. That's what I'd say. It's beautiful. She's got a lot of different types of shoes. I think she's like slowly getting rid of a lot of them because she wears, I think, 3 pairs.
How did your friendship evolve with her? Because it does seem like the two of you kind of hit it off and connect within the first couple of episodes. But so how would you say your friendship evolved with her?
I'd say a lot of the women were very apprehensive to get close to her for whatever reason. But like, I don't know anything about the fashion career, really. Like her career, that is. And the way I judge anyone in my life, kind of as a rule of thumb, is based on how they treat me, not on what I hear. And I thought she was lovely just from the very start. And we really bonded and we got very close. We both have houses out east. She lives about 10 minutes from me. So like we grabbed dinner, in the fall, we grabbed dinner and in the winter, and I introduced her to some of my friends and they all loved her. And she's just been honestly very supportive. She's just always there if I need her. And that means a lot to me.
I mean, that was a pretty impressive closet.
Oh my God. That's like better than what you picture Carrie Bradshaw to have.
Right? It totally is.
This is like Devils Wears Prada meets Carrie Bradshaw. It was just all the dreams that every New York City girl has.
It really was. All right. Well, let's talk about this RHONY debut, this reboot. What did you think overall? I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but what did you think overall of this cast?
I loved it. I think it was a breath of fresh air. I think New York is the perfect city to like try this out in, this whole new cast, because New York has a lot of interesting characters. It has a lot of very career-driven people. Seeing them all from different, I think 2 of them work in fashion. One's a content creator. One works in real estate. It's just super interesting that like, it's an interesting, diverse group of people that I just think going to be great together.
Yeah, it's going to be really great.
Overall, an A+ for me.
It really was. And it seems like, just based on like reactions that I've seen out there, everybody else is loving it too. And I think it, like you said, a breath of fresh air. We kind of needed this. And it takes us all over the city too. We're in Brooklyn, in Manhattan, which I liked as well,
Me too. I love seeing the different neighborhoods. It could be I'm a New York girl living in Mississippi. I was like nostalgic and it was making me really miss home. But I was like, I want to be in my 20s, not that they're in their 20s, but I want to be in my 20s in New York right now, like living my best life like these women.
No, they really are. And I like the little bit of drama that we're getting. And, like we talked about Cheesegate, I just love that we're fighting over a cheese platter and dipping out on a restaurant, what restaurant do you think they're talking about?
Well, I think some people are saying it was Catch, maybe. We don't have any proof, but it's so funny because I did go on a date at Catch in like the 2000, the like whatever it was, maybe 2010 or something like that. So it was pretty trendy in 2010, but not now.
Yeah, right. But I love that she was like, this is like the equivalent to like an Olive Garden, which I just can't. Like that's hysterical. But yes, so I love Jenna Lyons being like, everybody wear their khaki. And like, everybody's like, we don't own khaki.
No, I loved Uba's comment on that. She was like, if you're on a safari, you can wear khaki, but that's the only place you should be wearing khaki. And to be honest, I think the last time I wore khaki, this brought me down like memory lane. This whole premiere episode was like, I was an intern at Details magazine in New York. And I remember a pair of J. Crew khakis that like, they did fit great back then, I have to say. But I don't think I've worn them since then. And I think that was like 2007.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love that so much. But I do love Jenna on the show because I feel like this is like pushing her out of her comfort zone too, because like, she's like, I'm not a girl's girl. We don't go on girls trips. This is not my scene, but she's powering through. And I love her. That apartment is fantastic. It's just, it's a really good mix of people and I'm excited to see what happens. And I think everybody's really going to enjoy it. I really do.
Overall, do you have a favorite new New York housewife?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like it might be too
or least favorite.
I feel like Brynn is going to cause a lot of drama.
Oh yeah.
I feel
Brynn, I don't love, but I'm glad.
I feel like she's the pot stirrer, definitely. Based on what like our conversation with Erin too. It seems like the two of them are definitely going to go at it this season.
Yeah.
But I like all of them. I think Uba's great. Her cousin is Chanel Ayan, which, makes sense.
Okay, I didn't know that. Yes. And now it makes so much sense. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. So they're cousins. So they have that housewife connection. But overall, I think that the casting is fantastic and it's a great group of women. Really great.
I agree. I like Jessel actually.
Yes, I like Jessel too.
She was like an interesting casting. She felt like a little bit normal to me, where the other ones felt very like high end. I mean, her apartment was gorgeous and everything too, but just like I like that she had the young children. It felt relatable.
Right.
I like having a housewife in the mix that has young children. The younger cast. So I think she might be my front runner if they're I got privy enough to see the first 3 episodes. I'll be interested to see what you have to say about her after next week. Oh no. Okay.
I'll leave it there. I'll leave it as a teaser, but it's good. It's really good. All right, let's move on over to OC. Also, I feel like this has gotten revitalized as well. I mean, we're getting some old school Tamara drama. What do you think about her and Jen having this fight at Nobu? We finally got our dinner at Nobu, but
what was funny is I watched this after New York and I was like, Nobu is so 2008 too.
Right.
All these old school restaurants. I thought it was great. I think Tamara is really bringing it this season. I mean, napkin throwing, it was so ridiculous. I sort of, once Jen told the full story in the like confessional about how Tamara was saying he was hot or whatever, like it sounded like jokes between girlfriends.
It did sound like jokes.
It was a little bit like it seemed. I don't fully understand why Tamara threw a napkin and stormed out, but I get it in that like she wasn't. I don't think she was actually trying to hook up with Ryan. Yeah,
I don't think so either. And the only thing that bothers me about this is, of course we need drama for the show, but she's been dating this guy for a while. If you're her friend, why didn't you bring this up to her? Like, forever ago. Why save it
Yeah.
for, I mean, I know why you saved it for the camera, but it just seems like you're not being a good friend either, Tamra. But she knows how to create great TV. And she did it. Do you feel like Heather has changed, like Gina said, since Tamra has come around?
Well, I definitely agreed. I thought it was interesting how they were calling out Heather for being condescending, and they had very, very specific examples, which were very true. I mean, I don't think Heather does it intentionally, but I think it's important that they kind of brought it up to her, so she does start to think twice before she says things like, oh, my high school age son is doing the same job that you are, or whatever, I think she does need to think twice before things come out of her mouth and think like, could that offend someone? So I agree with all that.
I do. And I do like how Heather takes accountability for it. She's like, okay, I understand you. I hear you. I'll work on it, rather than get very defensive, which I do appreciate about Heather. I do like that. And then the whole Heather versus Gina thing, not being a good friend to her. I still feel like Gina's kind of reaching for this one. I don't know.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And, I think Gina is savvy. I think that she's very aware that she needs a storyline to stay in the show. Wasn't she like demoted one season, or did
remember? I can't
remember.
I don't think she was. I think there was talk that she might have been. I mean, maybe after this upcoming season, she might be. I don't know. I just don't feel like sometimes she fits in with this group. I don't know. I like Gina. I think
she's like a Long Island girl in the OC. It's kind of random.
Yeah, it's very random. It really is. And then, we kind of ended with Shannon seeing, David getting a divorce. As we know, they've kind of not patched things up, but at least are in a much better place than they once were.
Yeah, it was interesting how she brought up, and I just guess I thought she would just be so ecstatic that they were splitting, but she thought of it in a way of like her kids are going to inherit less money from him one day because he has to spend yet again lawyer fees on this split.
Right.
So it's like weird to see it through her eyes in that way, and like I never would have thought about that, and I kind of felt for her.
I did too. That was kind of a really good point. Yeah, you would have felt like, oh, she's happy that he's getting divorced, but it also affects her kids as well. All right, moving on over to Atlanta. We are going to Portugal. This is supposed to be a good vibes trip, and it is anything but.
Anything but. I mean, I love a good housewives trip. It always brings out like the worst in people, which makes sense because like I don't often travel with friends. In fact, like never anymore. And in the times I have traveled with friends, it's, usually there's like some kind of falling out in it. It's not on a reality show.
It really is. Yeah. It's never good. She by Sheree is put on blast because she was asked to give back, or everybody was asked to give back the merch that they gave her. She brought up, this lawsuit that Drew is involved in. Kenya touching Courtney too much. This is just a lot going on here.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. But, like you said, nothing is better than a good cast trip. And I love that we're going overseas to Portugal. It's so fancy.
Oh, the trip's better now.
World,
the
budget for Atlanta must be big.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on over to our social spotlight of the week. Mine went to Brynn, our new New York housewife. Comments by celebs posted this, and she said she's posting her New York City restaurant guide later this week. Jessel says, make sure the C ... is on that, with the crying emoji face. So I guess it is maybe catch.
Yeah, I think it might be. It is so funny though. Like I specifically remember the date I went on and how I thought it was like such a cool restaurant.
Yes.
A long time ago.
A long time ago. How about you?
Well, mine goes to Lala Kent. She just posted, I know this is a housewife show, but gotta give some love to this too. She said it finally happened. Howie Mandel is on the Give Them Lala podcast. It's epic, funny, and includes more than one poo-poo head reference episode. So pretty funny that she's having him as a guest now.
I love that. I'm sure we're going to be recapping it all on Us Magazine. So make sure you check that out because that is definitely going to be a must listen.
Yes.
All right. Well, that is it for this week's episode of Getting Real with the Housewives. Let us know in the comments who is your favorite new Roni housewife and why. What do you think about the big premiere? There's so much to talk about. So please let us know in the comments and subscribe. And Mandy and I will see you guys next week. Bye. For more news, content, and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below and visit usmagazine.com.